Future Jam.
Welcome to the Future Jam, a tech news podcast for enthusiasts and casual listeners alike. I'm Mike, and once again, I'm joined by my good buddy Alex.
What up, everybody? Woo!
So we have a show that's been going on for 2 episodes now, Fact Off. Definitely check that out. I think that's not really going strong yet. We're still trying to work out the kinks, but I think you'll like it. I'm not very confident right now, am I?
No, but you told me earlier that it was the best podcast of all time.
I did. So definitely check it out, factoffpodcast.com, or subscribe, Fact Off. Just search that. Just search the words Fact Off, and whatever one pops up first, subscribe to that. I don't even care which one, what podcast it is. Just, it's probably going to be ours, so subscribe.
Yeah, listen, it's fun. It's us and another person.
Yeah, we don't even talk about Pat. You know, he's not ever been on this show but twice.
The not never been on this show but twice. You want to take that one over? I got confused with listening to it, and I knew it.
I was trying to word it in a funny way, but my voice is like definitely, I'm losing my voice, but
you want me to
pay no mind to
you want
that.
me to host the Future Jam today?
Yeah, you host a Fact Off, so you could try, but you barely write down the notes as is, and I how do you even read the handwriting of yours?
My perfect handwriting. I got 2 pages. I got a page and a half of notes. Depends.
Yeah, I don't know how you do hand notes. Like for a tech show, you do like handwritten notes, whereas somebody who runs a tech show would probably like use a note-taking app or something along those lines.
I don't remember stuff if I like type out notes, but if I write it down, I'll remember it. I don't know why.
Yeah,
That's how I work. Like I wrote my brother's best man speech for Pat, who's on the Fact Off with us, and I wrote that out by hand, and I was able to remember it completely. It's just, if I write something out, I'll remember it. If I'm typing it out, I won't remember it.
Yeah, when I write something out by hand, the only thing I remember is how much my hand hurts writing with a pencil or a pen or whatever. So, yeah, all my life I've never really taken much hand notes. And my handwriting's so bad, I just throw it away.
I'm not a big, I don't take a lot of notes in general. There's never been a big note taker, but if I need to remember something, I'll write it down.
And this show is definitely 100% important enough for your note-taking.
When I list the things that are important to my life, it's my God, my country, my guns, Future Jam, and then family.
Why is family so far down the list?
Yeah. God, country, guns have to be your top 3, right? We all have seen those shirts. And then it's the Future Jam right after that. And then family.
And then family. You don't even have a gun.
Yeah, I'll never get a gun, but I'm putting it in
people
there.
People are trying to rob Alex. He does have a gun. Wink, wink. But he doesn't.
Yeah, these 2 bad boys.
Yeah, two guns right on his body.
Yeah.
You ready to jump into the dumb tech of the week, Alex?
I am. This guy's dumb.
All right. First one up, Amazon has some fraud issues. I put this one on here because I don't think the culprit's dumb. I think
he is.
I think he found a loophole and he figured out how to work it for 5 years. He made $290,000 off of Amazon's incompetence.
No, but they reported him right away. A lot of times when I got the sense is they reported him right away. And a lot of times when the FBI does this stuff, because he was investigated by the FBI, they let stuff continue to see how far it'll go and see what the process is. And that's what I think happened. I think they caught him pretty quick in 2016 because the investigation's been going on for 5 years.
So if they caught him one time, why would they let him go for 5 more years?
They see it plays out to build a case against them. So what happened was this guy was buying high-end items.
Yeah.
And then selling them on eBay, but then also returning the item to Amazon, but like a older model, a cheaper model, and then pocketing the difference and then selling it for a profit. So he kept doing that with a bunch of different stuff, a lot of computers. He did it 270 times, and 250 times they were in different values. 300, he had 300 fraudulent transactions. So I think they knew this was going on. They just let it go and see, like, probably checking, like, who's buying this stuff, if he's working alone, and like an operation. Like, Amazon's always checking the serial numbers on stuff. Like, if you return, like, a computer, they're going to check it. Like, it's a high-end item.
Yeah, that would make sense. So I was wondering, like, how he... And I didn't see that in the article. I guess you read to the very, 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 very bottom, like the super notes or something. But I just think that Amazon's return process is, like, open for people taking advantage of it anyways. Like, I've heard of people like, oh, my PlayStation controller's not working, so they'll buy a PlayStation controller and swap it out and in the package and return it. And, you know, there's stuff like that has gone on for years. Like, people do that to Walmart and Best Buy where I used to work. And I don't think that's harmless either. I think that's because somebody else will buy that item, get it, and it'll be broken.
Yeah, it's people thinking, like, oh, it's big corporations, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Who am I really hurting? But, like, all that stuff goes in, like, cost increase and things like that. It makes it harder for actual people who need to return something or have issues. That's why it's like a lot of times when you're returning something, it's like such a, like, just like a process to return something, because so many people have screwed over companies. It makes it harder for, like, the honest person.
So, okay, so after you laid it out to me, I think this guy's dumb. So,
yeah, especially high-end items. He was, like, doing like a $3,000 coffee maker and all stuff like that. They're going to check. I think if you're doing low things, but there's, like, a lot of times on Amazon you order something and you want to return it, and they're like, it's not worth the postage. Like, I bought a adapter for my wife to hook up a second monitor, and it was the wrong one. So I was like, oh, it's like $5, and I was like, okay, we can return this and get a new one. And Amazon was like, just keep it. And like, I don't need this cord. It's not do anything I use. And they're like, it's not worth the postage to send it back, so just keep it.
Yeah, it all adds up. But yeah, this guy's definitely dumb. He's going to be serving a lot of years.
Yeah, they say, what was it?
20? 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years and
Possibly.
a $250,000 fine.
Yeah.
And I think you get stories like this, is like scares other people away from doing that.
Yeah, that's probably why they even put this story up there. It's like, hey, we're watching, and you probably shouldn't be doing this. You'll get 20 years. This guy's definitely being used as like a example, I think.
Yeah, but I did it for so long, and like, this gets so greedy. Like, if you do it once, and like, you get off like, oh, it was a mistake, I didn't mean to. I feel like they would let it go.
Oh yeah, I accidentally returned the wrong iMac. It was an accident.
Yeah, like, they were able to track that he bought the computer and then sold it on eBay before he put in the return at Amazon.
This guy is not the smartest cookie. I had a different thought about this, and then I'm like, no, Amazon probably knows on these big items. You're not getting away with anything on the bigger stuff.
Especially anything with a serial number is easy for them to track.
100%. So, next dumb tech, I just added this in because it's kind of creepy and weird. And I hate, like, when companies do this. Microsoft has, like, an update to Teams that adds a praise button, and then it keeps track of all the praises you've received over a 6-month period of time.
And send.
And sent. So, I don't like this concept to begin with, and then also, like, keeping track of all your praises sent and received. It just seems kind of, I don't know, gross and weird.
It's not that, like, they're doing it. A lot of companies already have something, like, in-house like this, that you can, like, praise a coworker, like a reward system if you, like, things like that. But it's like odd that they're putting in teams. Like Microsoft really wants to control everything with your business. And with this praise thing, I can see companies using it because it's something they don't have to pay extra
hands
for.
Off. It's hands off too. Like they don't have to actually talk to their employees and actually tell them you're doing a good job. It's just like, oh yeah, I sent them a praise, thumbs up.
Yeah. And all employees are looking for is a good pat on the back.
Yeah, I never really cared for my boss to say, hey, you did a good job. If I did a good job, like above expectation, just reward me in a monetary way. Like that would make me feel pretty good. Give me a pizza party. I like pizza. Stuff like that. Like what's a praise going to do for me? Nothing. I don't need these little praises in my life.
When my one job, they had like a thing, which I like this idea. It's like they had a thank you box, and throughout the week, like if you helped a coworker and all, they'll give you like a thank you. And they put in the box, and then at the end of the week, they read all of them, and then they put them all back in, and then they draw one out. And if your name gets drawn, you can leave 15 minutes early on Friday. Or you can like kind of stack them up and leave, like if you got multiple ones, you can like leave an hour early on Friday. And it was so easy because like it doesn't cost the company anything. Like, and then I feel like it's more thankful for when like your coworkers thank you for doing like helping them. Like, I think it's more meaningful.
It's so strange though that companies are so like reticent to like give people like half days off or days off for like rewards. Like I've worked at a lot of companies and they almost never say, "Oh, go ahead, we want to reward you. You take a half day off." Like for some reason they never do those sorts of things, and I'm like, well, why not? Are they liable for something or?
Yeah, just letting people go home early. I guess even like an hour at the end of the day on like a Friday. Like, yeah, just go home.
And like we've talked about before in this show, is like a lot of jobs. It's not always like nonstop work. Sometimes you have like ebbs and flows. And if a boss sees that his employees have gotten everything done for the week, why not let people go home early?
Yeah, or if you're like full, like if you have enough staff, let's send somebody home early.
Good. The thing is, but pay them.
Yeah.
Like, pay them what they would have had. Like pay them for the full day's work and let them go home early. Like why arbitrarily hold somebody there? I don't know. This kind of got off topic a little bit, but I'm just anti these like impersonal praises thing. And this article that talked about it kind of compared it to Black Mirror. I'm not sure how many people watch Black Mirror or not, but there was an episode where people had like social scores where like over time you built up a social score and I got 5 stars and you got different like scores from different things you did in life and basically a life report card and you would succeed or fail based on that. And they said they're not going to make these praises public to the like your superiors as far as like percentage compared to other employees, but still like it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, Community did like a whole episode on this. It was pretty funny.
So, all right. Well, you ready to jump into our discussion of the week?
Yeah.
All right. This one you brought in. You sent me this over, I think yesterday. But it's about tech and cars, and the gist of this is J.D. Power recently had like a survey called Tech Experience Index study. In a nutshell, car makers are loading vehicles with tech that most people will never use, and this drives up the cost of ownership.
Or they don't know when they have the tech, or they don't know how to use the tech. So like it seemed like a lot of like the stuff that got like bad reviews were like a lot of like the dashboard stuff. Like I guess BMW has like this finger, like you don't have to touch it, you just like move your hand, like move it.
It's like a gesture control, so like you could twirl your finger in the air and you could turn up or down the volume. And yeah, maybe if somebody wasn't told they had that, maybe nobody's not going to be using that.
Yeah, I feel like just in general, like dashboards and like your center console with like your radio and your temperature controls are just getting overly complicated in general. And I think a lot of you're seeing a lot more pushback against this, but you're also seeing, like, I know Panasonic is supposed to do like a whole dashboard like thing, and you won't even have any knobs. People like knobs. I don't know, like, how much people like touchscreens a lot, but
Yeah,
like,
I think knobs are fantastic for stuff you use like quite frequently, like adjusting the temperature or the volume or stuff like that. Touchscreens I could see are good for certain other things, but I like a good mixture of physical and like touch controls.
so does mine. Like, I don't like the one thing I don't like, and it's in a lot of newer cars, is I don't like the set temperature things in cars. I feel like they're never comfortable, especially like if you like, oh, the passenger can do their own too, and like I just feel like they never work, and like it's just not good. I just like to turn the knob off and on.
Wait, so you don't like to adjust the temperature up and down?
Yeah, like the climate control where you can set.
What's
like,
wrong with that? Like,
I
I've
don't-
never had an issue with that.
I
That
just
seems like a
feel like
simple one.
I feel like it never works, and you can never get comfortable. And like if it's not,
Do you remember to turn the AC on?
yeah, but like I hate it, like when you put it on and like it would be like 80 degrees and just like blast like your AC for like 10 minutes to get to that temperature. Like I'd rather just do it my way and control my temperature my way.
Oh, because you don't like when you set it to like 73 or 72 or 71, like it just arbitrarily gets you to that temperature.
Yeah.
If you have the knob, you can adjust like how fast the fan's blowing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I've had a car with those up and down gauges. My parents do, but I don't remember. I think they also had a selector for adjusting the speed of the fan and such, but maybe not.
Yeah. But this show in the reviews, like the ones that people liked, and it makes sense, is the ones that actually help you while you're driving, like the rear view camera. It's got really good reviews. The automatic braking, reversing got good reviews. I think that's on the
because
main
that's
truck.
all like easy to use stuff. Like you don't have to turn it off or on. It just like when you hit reverse, the camera comes on. So it's no learning curve.
No learning curve, but it's also stuff you use. Like it's some that makes driving easier.
Yeah.
You know, waving your hand in front of your thing to turn up your volume doesn't necessarily make driving easier. I like the cars that have like the buttons on the steering wheel. Like I like those more than I would like a touchscreen on my car. Like
You can have both though.
you can have both, but I feel like more and more cars are moving more to like this like high end center console. Well, like when, especially if you're driving, like in like if you're driving like a storm and all, and like you need to change like your defrost and stuff, it's so much easier with knobs to control that. And I feel like with the center consoles and all, like you're focused more on that than you are driving a lot. Like when you have the knobs, you can easily, if you want it to go harder, you turn it right. If you want to slow it down, you go left. Like it's easier that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I was reading the study and I didn't really I'm not sure what they were getting at. I don't know why people wouldn't like half this stuff. Like people said they wouldn't use, like 52% said they wouldn't use the like communication technology. That's like Bluetooth in the car. Like are those people who just don't talk on the phone at all or what?
I have a theory that when they first started doing that, it was terrible and crappy. Like my wife had a 2013 and you can call through the car and it sounded awful. Like we've never used it like outside like the first couple months. But like my car is a newer car and it sounds great and I like using it. So I think like a lot of people maybe used it earlier and then they're like, nah, it was terrible. I don't want to use, I don't think it's important.
Okay. And also, another thing that I saw is 61% of owners don't like the in-vehicle digital market technology, and 51% of responders didn't need it. What is the digital market technology? What do you think that is? I'm trying to figure it out. I'm guessing maybe like the Android Auto or the Apple CarPlay or something like that, but I'm not entirely sure. But I read the whole article and it didn't really elaborate on that. But it did get into the fact that if you don't learn like a lot of these tech features at the dealership, you're probably not going to end up using it. And that's the thing, is a lot of people aren't like learning all this stuff at the dealership when they purchase it, and they end up not using it. And I'm like one of the ones that does like learning everything about my car. And obviously I don't want to hang around the dealer forever, because dealers are just not a comfortable place to learn anything. It's like a high pressure, it's just a nerve-wracking experience. And why would you ever want to learn how to use your car at the dealership from a salesperson?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't take the time to sit and like read the car manual. You probably should. Or like just mess around. Like when I got my car, I spent like a half an hour when I first got it just messing around with all like the different buttons and all, seeing what they did. And going back to the communication thing real fast. I just want to make a point. I also don't think a lot of people understand like Bluetooth and connectivity like that stuff, like how that stuff works.
I don't know about that. Maybe really old people, or people
I
who
think so.
never had a smartphone before. But
old people or people that would take surveys.
That's true. Like they did say like 2,000 or 190,000 people took this survey. I think it's a pretty big survey group.
Yeah, it's JD Power. That's what they do.
I don't 100% trust JD Power.
Really?
They always like say Chevy vehicles are the best, and I'm like, I don't know about that, JD Power, but
I trust JD Power.
Not for saying a Chevy's the best. I'll say that. But anyways.
But going back to your thing, I think when you buy a new vehicle, it should come with like an instructional video, like a link. Like, oh, check this out, and we'll show you like some of the cool features that your car can do and how to do them. You can probably look them up, but I feel like dealerships should promote that more, so you understand like all the features you can do.
But I think that's what YouTube's for as well, because there's so many really great like reviewers or people who do videos on vehicles that show a lot of these features. And if you just took a chance to like Google or YouTube search for your vehicle, you'll find all sorts of instructional videos about cars. I think it also got into like different manufacturers implement this better than others. For instance, my father-in-law and mother-in-law, they got a Toyota, and the tech is great on it. It has good tech, but the system and like how to navigate around the menus and all that is basically the same in a 2020 model as my wife's car that's a 2013 model. Like, they haven't really updated hardly anything. It's very cumbersome to get around the menus and use a lot of the features. It took me a while to figure out how to even pair them up through Bluetooth and all of that, and we got it working, but it just wasn't laid out like user friendly. And this survey went through and kind of like ranked car brands by how well they implemented their tech. Hyundai, I know they used to get a lot of bad marks when we were younger, but Hyundai actually is like up there with the top right now. And they said the Hyundai Genesis ranked the best, and pretty much all the cars from Hyundai and Kia ranked up there. And then it was Cadillac, Volvo, BMW, Nissan, and Subaru. So all those brands, people thought implemented the tech and the vehicles very well. I just bought a Hyundai, and
did you?
Yeah, and I'm very impressed with how smooth like the tech is and how easy it is to navigate the menus, and a lot of the features are very intuitive and easy to use. So from that perspective, I think the tech is useful and good, but if you have a car that doesn't implement it well, then I could see why you would answer on the survey, this is no good. I wouldn't use this because it's too cumbersome or, finicky.
I agree, but when did you get a new car? You didn't tell me.
Couple weeks ago, I got like a Hyundai Santa Cruz. It's like a SUV that's also a truck. It's like one of those interesting hybrid vehicles. But
you didn't come pick me up for a ride?
I will. I'll come pick you up for a ride next time I'm over to watch a game or something.
Okay, I'm mad now. Let's get into Tech Bytes then.
Yeah, let's jump into Tech News Bytes.
Hey, Mike, go.
Tech News Bytes.
All right, first one up is Chevy bolts are a fire hazard. ironically, because like with the name Bolt, you know, you just imagine a car on fire with just that name. But anyways, LG supplies the batteries for the Chevy Bolts, and a lot of them have caught on fire, and they recalled pretty much all of them. I think tens of thousands of vehicles. You know, it's going to cost about $2 billion, and $1.9 billion of that's going to be covered by LG.
Yeah, so LG's just, it was their batteries that were messing up, and they're paying for it. I don't know, I kind of like LG's move on this one. Chevy's happy because they can kind of push the blame off on somebody else, and GM doesn't need any more headaches. But it's kind of good that LG's like, hey, we made the mistake, we'll pay for it. I think it looks good for them to kind of sell their, you know, they fixed the issue, but like other companies, if they were leery about using LG, them saying, hey, we admitted that it wasn't the best, now we fixed it and we'll pay for it. I feel like it helps them out.
Yeah, it's somewhat rare for a company like to admit fault like right off the bat like this and pay for it, because a lot of times they just fight this out over years and years and years and never want to pay out. But I think LG realizes this is like an up and coming market, and if they want to be like a big player, they have to like rectify issues they had. But this doesn't look good for either brand. Like as far as a consumer goes, like if you're going to buy an electric vehicle, you're like, well, I don't know if I trust a GM electric vehicle, especially this new Hummer coming out, or the new GM electric trucks coming out in a couple years. You know, they have to like put this kind of behind them a little bit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Hummer does. It's getting decent reviews, but if the Hummer's like a smash hit, I think people easily forget about this, because I don't think people necessarily, when they think of GM, like think of the Bolt and the Hummer being in like the same company.
Yeah, and yeah, it's true. They don't, and Hummer's kind of like its own branding almost.
Yeah. Next topic.
Next one up is California could ban gas-powered generators and mowers by 2024, and pressure washers.
No.
First thing I thought was like generators. Like, don't you need gasoline to generate power in case of an emergency? And I kind of read towards the bottom of the article, and they said that companies are trying to make hydrogen-powered like generators that don't emit any emissions. I don't know. But yeah, this is going to happen by 2024, they say.
Yeah, so everything else, I believe, because like we already have electric mowers. I have an electric power washer, the electric leaf blowers, and all that stuff is like an easy move. The generator is like the only one I think they'll have trouble with, because like so many people. There's
literally nothing on the market.
Yeah, so they would have to do that. California is going to cover a lot of the costs for companies that need to switch equipment for this stuff. They're putting aside up to $30 million. I mean, California is always at the forefront when it comes to emissions. They're the ones really why like a lot of the country now is having emission standards in cars and things like that. They're the first one to do that. I can see if this goes well, like you can still use the ones you have. They can't sell more after 2024. Yeah, that's how it usually
goes.
Yeah, so you have time. I think this is just a wave of the future. I can see it happening. Like you'll see like Washington next, and then like Colorado or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, once companies switch their product lines over to this, they're not going to want to have differing product lines per state. They're probably going to eventually just switch all their product lines in all states to something like this. So, but I didn't think this was that big of a deal until I read like some of the stats they said. They said a gas-powered leaf blower for 1 hour emits the same level of pollution as a 2017 Toyota Camry that travels 1,100 miles. So that kind of blew my mind. I'm like, maybe this law isn't out there. Maybe this is something that we should be doing.
Well, especially if we just have a comparable product that is just electric.
Yeah.
You know, that isn't like it's better for the environment. If you have like an alternative that's easy or one for one, I'm sure there's going to be people like, well, I like the gas one better, but it's all the same.
Sidebar, this will also be beneficial for noise pollution because blowers and gas motors, and all these products emit so much noise and it's so obnoxious.
Noise.
Shut up. But all right, next one up.
That was my Grinch impersonation.
You're great at
Thank you.
Grinch impersonations. I usually don't bring in laptop stories because laptops are laptop. They're not very exciting usually because they've been about the same for 10 years now. But Acer has a glasses-free 3D laptop they're releasing. And I think this is the first mass-produced 3D laptop that's going to be available on the market. And I'm like, why are they making this now? And what's the point? Would a normal consumer even want to buy something like this? And I don't think it's for an average consumer.
No, it's more for artists that want to see what they're making in a 3D form.
Yeah, it kind of, with 3D printing and all that stuff catching on, I'm kind of thinking a lot of people who do 3D printing, who want to see what their product would look like before they print it out, maybe it'd be useful for that. They said that this is such a small amount of people, but they said that people who build cars could show them off in showrooms, or people building architecture of some sort can show those off with the computer screen. But basically, it's just a computer screen that it does a 3D image effect, and it adjusts how it looks depending on where you're looking. It has eye tracking cameras on it, so it's kind of interesting. I don't know how well it works. It has a pretty high-end display, though. It has high color accuracy, so it is for artists because that's what they need.
Do you think this could be the wave of the future for laptops if the technology gets cheaper and you see Dell and Apple start doing things like this? So I can see Apple has a big announcement next week.
No.
I can see that.
I absolutely don't think this is... They've tried this so many times. Remember they had a smartphone that had a 3D display, 3DS. I don't think this is going to be the wave of the future by any chance. But, niche stuff like this, if it sells, they'll keep making it. But I think it's more of a test product.
Okay, next topic.
All right, Bird Scooters, they're a company that makes scooters, is testing out sensors that prevent riding on sidewalks. And I applaud this because I hate walking on the sidewalks and almost getting knocked off onto the road by somebody riding a scooter 20 miles per hour or 10 miles per hour. You don't belong on a sidewalk if you're riding a scooter.
They don't belong on the street if they're riding a scooter. They don't belong.
No, they belong.
Unless you have dedicated bike lanes, I don't think scooters should be a thing.
But if you're in the city, you're driving 10, 15 miles per hour, these can definitely keep up with traffic. It's not they're impeding traffic movement in any way, shape, or form. So I think they're useful. I've used them quite a bit to get across the city in a quick manner. It's beneficial, I think.
Yes. I don't know. I don't think there's a good solution for them. Because there's sometimes where it would be better if they were on the sidewalk than they were on the street. And other times it would be better if they were on the street than the sidewalk. No two cities are the same. So I think if you're gonna do this, well, what will happen is they'll use they're using a sensor, multi-sensor GPS module. They work with U-blocks with it, and it would detect if somebody goes up on the scooter, and then it would emit an audible sound and send a notice to your phone, and then you slowly slow down, then stop. But if you have to get on the sidewalk for some reason, they don't then you would just have to get off and then move it with you.
Yeah, they're testing it out in San Diego and a couple other cities. They already do this location tracking type thing because if you're going through an area with lots of pedestrian traffic or across a narrow bridge or something like that, they'll arbitrarily slow you down. So yeah.
All right, next topic.
Next one up, I added this because I think it's kind of not forward thinking, but I think it's kind of looking at the situation we're kind of in now in a good lens. Amazon is adjusting their work from home policies, and they're letting individual teams decide on whether they're going to be working from home or in the office or et cetera, instead of having a broad blanket thing. And I think this is the approach to go with because not everybody needs to be in the office all the time, and it's smart to like approach it in a smaller, more narrow, like team by team basis, because some teams don't belong in the office all the time.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's what companies should be doing instead of like, oh, everybody has to come back in. But the issue is like, if I'm on team A and we have to come back in, but I'm seeing team B who is pretty much doing like the same type of work I'm doing, and no manager or director is like, oh no, you don't have to come in, or you have to come in 2 days a week. Like it's going to upset people to have to come in.
That's true. So yeah, I could see maybe that's why they didn't implement this at first, because maybe they are afraid of upsetting different teams possibly.
But the issue is with companies now, because you're seeing so many people quit their jobs, and people are going to companies that are a lot more relaxed with working from home. And I feel like a lot of the bigger companies are stuck in their ways, like, no, we want you to come in, and they're losing a lot of people because of it.
I think the bare maximum or minimum or whatever should be 3 days in the office. I think that should be like the baseline, unless you absolutely have to be there 5 days.
You think the minimum's to be 3 days?
Like,
you have to be in 3 days?
That's like the worst it could be, unless,
Okay, so you're saying, like, for majority of people,
some jobs, like if you work in a warehouse, you have to be there 5 days a week. But I think the worst case scenario for most people should be 3 days a week in the office. I think that should be like a standard practice. Like most companies should say, hey, that's the baseline. We're expecting you in 3 days a week. But it could be better, than that even.
Yeah, I'd say at least 2. At least like maybe come in once a week, and if you're going to have like a team meeting or something like that. But after that, you're fine.
I still think they need to lure people in, like give people, if you're going to come into the office, give them incentives to be there. Good breakfast, donuts, free lunch or whatever. Like if you're going to make people spend their time coming into work for no reason outside of like culture, then give them a reason to come in. Because people know they can work from home, right? People know they can do their job perfectly fine. So they are obviously going out of it's an inconvenience now to go into work. So you have to make it a better experience for people. And if you don't do that, then people are going to be incensed and not happy with their job.
Especially like the winter. Like, it's just like, you making people wake up at like 7 o'clock in the morning to sit in traffic to come in when it's freezing cold outside. And you can just sit at home and wake up and stay in your jammies.
Yeah, it just seems like an outdated concept of like how people should live their lives. Like for the longest time, we have had this connected society, but for some reason work was like not digitally connected. It was like, okay, we pretend like the internet doesn't exist. We have to go into work because we pretend that you can't possibly work from home. Now that whole bubble has been burst, and we know we can work from home. So we're living in a post work from work society where the wool's been pulled away from our eyes. We know we can do the thing we've always known we can do. And they're going to have a hard time convincing people, I think.
Well, I think the issue is a lot of companies, big companies and all, are run by older people who a lot of times don't understand technology and don't want to change and don't understand. Like a lot of them, I don't say a lot of them, but people think like, oh, if you just want to work from home, you're just kind of lazy compared to the person that wants to come in. It's like, no, it's just a better lifestyle. So ever since companies stopped paying you for lunch, and then you have to take your 8-hour shift is now 8 hours and a half or 8 hours and 45 minutes because they don't want to pay you for lunch. Like, let me work from home so I can work from 7 to 3:45. And then when 3:45 hits, I'm done. I'm home. Like, if my kids have sports or they have activities, I can do that. I can mow the lawn after work instead of getting home at 5:30 at night and then still having to eat dinner and things like that. It frees up my weekend more. I can clean more.
So, yeah, I'm with you. I think we're both on team work from home for the most part.
We've talked about this enough.
Yeah, we talked about this. I'll just call that the episode for today. You can find us at The Future Jam on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the places. Check out our new show, Fact Off Podcast. And we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, next week's going to be a big week.
Okay.
You know what next week is, Mike?
What?
My 1 year anniversary of doing the Future Jam with you.
No way.
Yeah, but I looked it up. My first episode was October 22nd last year.
I was going to buy you a pair of headphones for your 1 year anniversary, but I already did that.
Yeah, bought them like 2 weeks in.
Yeah, because you're using like little teensy earbuds and they're like falling out in the middle of the show and you're like, oh.
Yeah, so I think next week we'll do like a special episode. We'll bring back some of our favorite guests. No news stories. That's whatever we want, Mike.
Yeah, we should. We should just do next week, just have some guests on and just kind of chat about like you bring in something, I'll bring in something and just kind of chat and have fun.
Yeah. But
so let's do that. Let's just break loose next week and have fun.
Ooh, I'm going to have champagne.
I'm not going to do that, but yeah, I hate champagne. And we'll tell that story on the next episode.
All right. Talk to you. Yeah, have a good one, everybody.
Bye.